Hello everyone, this is Matt Dollar and I'm here today with Return of the Beast, round number 3. Round 3 is our final round and it will be held at the Bowden Disc Golf Course inside of Bowden Golf Course. So the first 2 rounds were on the temp course and now today we are playing the regular Beast. So we do have some hole flyovers by Tyler Crowley using his drone. So this is hole 1 here. We are in the 458 foot pin position. And it's a rip right off the bat. You do have to worry about some out of bounds down the right side if you turn it over. And this course is known to be a little windy, although today the wind is not too bad. The hard part about this hole is you need to carry all the way down there and then finish left. And you can't really flex something out to the right and then still get back to the left in time to get to the basket. So you really have to throw something on kind of a hyzer line or a very straight flat line. Anything that turns to the right will probably not get back far enough to the left. So if you guys watched my Boogie Bottoms videos, you probably saw Seth Beaman in round 3 there, and he's joining us here on round number 3 at Return of the Beast. Seth is one of the longest throwers around, and he will definitely display some distance here on the Beast course. So Nick has trapped himself in the thick stuff on the right side. He's basically has no choice but to throw an overhand to try and get out. And that tomahawk he threw looked really good. In fact, it probably should have slid to the basket, but it just stopped right upon landing. Really a bad break for Nick there. Hopefully he can make the putt and still get out of here with a par. Matlack must think there's a little bit of wind today because he's putting with the Rhino instead of the Nova like he usually does. He threw a pretty good putt, just didn't quite stick. And Nick wasn't able to get his par in there. Seth makes a nice putt for his par. And JC will tap in, so we'll have 3 pars and 1 bogey on hole number 1. And we'll move on to hole 2. Hole 2 plays probably about 400 feet and it's uphill. It's not quite that long in real life and actual footage, but being uphill it definitely plays at least 400. This is another hole where you don't want to have something turn over. Anything that is thrown on a flex line is probably not going to get far enough left to get to the basket. That's the tricky part on holes 1 and 2. You need the distance to get there and you need the distance to be able to get there without throwing a flex shot. But if you got the big bombing hyzers like everyone in this group has, you should have no problem here. There's my buddy John Matlack. He's throwing a destroyer there. And Nick Rowton will be last to tee here on hole number 2. So Nick came into this round only 1 stroke behind Josh Childs after shooting back-to-back 10 unders on the Beast course. Good one. JC just slides one in the left side there. That was a great catch. You gotta love when you're playing good and you get some good breaks too. That's how you come out with dominating performances like Josh has done so far this weekend. So everyone's gonna tap in those birdies on hole number 2. They made it look too easy. And now we're on to hole number 3, a little over 420 feet downhill. Sits on this little ridge that makes it quite tricky. It also has 2 giant trees protecting the beginning of the ridge. So unless you have crazy big power, those 2 trees are really going to get in your way. The perfect line on this would be a giant flex shot that comes around the last big tree. That big tree that Josh Childs hit with his drive there. Seth doesn't quite try and go with that big power move like I was talking. He still tries to come in front of the trees. If Seth was a local, I'm sure he would know that he needs to go around them. And he is the only one on this card with enough power to just go around them with ease. Everyone else is just going to have to try and fight through those trees. Although Nick does have quite a bit of power too. He caught that limb just off the right side of the fairway off the tee, and that's going to cost him some big distance. And if you're not parked on this one, you pretty much want to just try and throw an upshot and get it as close as possible, because anything that lands on the hill near the basket has a tendency to roll, especially if you've just hit the basket with a putt. Josh has got a really tricky window here. And he gives it a pretty good bid, but he's probably going to suffer with a little bit of a roll there.
Stop.
So Seth's drive was a little better than I thought. He actually did get on the good side of the trees. Just barely misses his putt and once again catches a little bit of a roll on this hillside. Matlack's Rhino just not quite making it in the basket yet again. He had good putts on 1 and 3. Neither one would stick in there for the birdie, so he'll have to settle for 1 down through the first 3 holes. And after that missed birdie putt, Josh Childs will make that comebacker, and we'll move on to hole 4, the first par 4 we're going to see today. On this hole, you really want to bomb your drive and then let it finish to the left. You don't want to challenge this gap that the drone just flew through here. You'll see a lot of the power throwers, they will kind of challenge that gap. They'll just throw it at the trees as hard as they can, and if you find that gap or if you get over the trees, then it's a super easy birdie. Josh played it correctly. That is the way you should play it. A good player who can control their drive should throw it out there as straight as possible and just let it fade left. That way you definitely have a second shot. If you challenge the green like Seth did there, you definitely have the chance of being up under those trees with no second shot. Nick's hyzered out just a little bit. Hopefully he doesn't go in one of those big patches of trees over there. As long as you don't get inside of those, you should have a second shot.
Come on, get over the hill and stand up a little bit and get around it.
So Matlack's going with a roller here, which is baffling to me. I don't see Matlack throw very many rollers. I guess it is possible he just threw a really bad shot and it turned into a roller. But I highly doubt he would have thrown it that poorly. It worked out pretty good. It got him pretty far up here. He should have a good upshot. In fact, Josh is going first, so he's better than Josh's standard shot. But Josh almost turns that standard shot into an eagle with that amazing approach shot.
Go ahead.
Matlack's going to try to follow the line.
Perfect. Sit down. Sit. Who are you talking to?
Lots of good disc golf noise and chatter in this group during this round, so I'm going to try not to talk over these guys and let you hear what they have to say on the course too. So Nick's got a long chance at birdie after throwing a really good second shot. He went overhand after just being outside of that bush.
Good bid.
Gives it a good bid, but it's not going to get in there for the birdie. Everyone else will have a pretty short birdie putt. Should be able to knock these in. Hole 4 is definitely one of the easier par 4s on this course, and maybe it's just trying to lull you into a false sense of security because you move on right now to hole number 5 and it's a monster. This hole was originally designed as a par 5. However, when the concrete tees went in, the powers that be at the time decided to call it a par 4. And so it has been ever since. So we're going to see today how these guys can do on this hole. It's basically you want to smash your drive as far as possible and get it as close to that telephone pole as possible out there.
Like that.
Josh's shot looks perfect.
You're definitely going to like that.
The only thing is unless you have a lot of distance, you can't really get to that pole. That pole is close to 500 feet from the tee. And you really need to be in good position if you want to have any chance at attacking the green on your second shot. But even if you are in position to attack the green on your second shot, you have to be careful because there is a slope right behind the basket and thick trees on both sides. So anything that goes past the basket is pretty much not going to make the comebacker.
Great shot. Thanks. Yep.
Matlack's bombing the turn there. Everyone seemed impressed.
There it is. Come on.
And Nick's throwing a pretty good drive. As long as that doesn't end up in one of those trees, it should be fine. So, while Nick threw a good drive, he is not even close to being in position to go for it on his second shot here. He's just going to try to throw a hyzer past that tree and get back in the field and have an easy up and down for par. Seth, however, has got big distance, so he's going to try to hyzer around this pole and get up there for a look. He's going to come in a little bit short. Another problem is that people would probably like to skip their shots up to the basket here. However, with that sand, you can't really do it. It just kind of sticks right where it hits. This course is like such a freak to be in the state of Georgia. It doesn't look like any other course. This land is just really unique. So the ball golf course owned this piece of property, and in the 70s it turned it into a 9-hole executive course inside the regular 18-hole ball golf course. And I believe it's been since the late 70s since this piece of property here in the middle of the ball golf course has not been used. And they let us use it for a disc golf course about 6 or 7 years ago, and it is definitely a beast. There used to also be a lot of cactus out here, and they would pop tires in golf carts when we were trying to design them, and also anyone who pulled or pushed a disc golf cart out here definitely had to worry about popping some tires. So Nick's not going to get that one in there for his par, and JC's got to sink this one here just to save a bogey. That's the thing about how thick these patches of rough are. Like, JC got a little bit off the fairway and just had to pitch back. So we're going to move to hole 6, the shortest hole in the course, and one of my favorites is near and dear to my heart, and that's because when we first came out and looked at this land, this hole didn't exist. It was like a little walkway or something. It was just this natural little spot that felt like it should be a short disc golf tunnel hole. And we didn't have any tools out with us that first day, so everyone just kind of got down in this tunnel and broke stuff off with their hands, and next thing you know, we had a little disc golf fairway. And I really think it's important to have holes like this. When the course is generally big and open, it's nice to have a couple short, tight, wooded holes. So it definitely changes the flow of the course. You know, you're just bombing over and over again, and then you get to come in here. Hole 6 and 7 are both shorter par 3s where you have to hit a gap. So Seth hit a tree pretty early, so he is only about 2/3 of the way to the hole.
That's it. Yeah, dog.
But that's not going to be a problem for Seth. He's going to throw a beautiful looking putt here and just bury it in the dead center chains. Everyone's going to give him a little love, and we're going to catch a replay of that one. Seth putts with AVRs, I do believe. We're going to go into a little bit of a slow-mo here. Very nice form from Seth. I like how he drops the disc right in between his knees, takes a slight bend, and explodes his whole body at once. Gets that perfectly up and down motion with his hand, and the disc flies right into the center of the chains. Josh Childs will knock in his short birdie putt, and Matlack will do the same. We're going to get out of here with a star frame, which is pretty awesome on any hole in this course. So we moved to hole 7, just a little longer than hole 6, is another tunnel. It does open up once you get a little further down the fairway, but once you get to the green, you can't go deep right or left, or else you'll be in the rough. Seth just needed that to be a hair to the right, and it would have skipped up there for an easy birdie. Instead, he's going to look at another 70-80 footer. And Josh is throwing a great looking shot there, and that was a pretty nice little bush he got at the end of his flight. You don't want to come in spicy on this green, because you could slide in deep, only be 25 feet from the basket, and just have no putt at all. So this course, Bowden Disc Golf Course, gets its nickname, the Beast, mainly from all the nasty patches of rough. I mean, you get off the fairways here, and you're just in trouble. Sometimes you can't even get to your disc inside these patches of trees. I think what happened is, you know how I mentioned that this was a part of the ball golf course? Well, hole 11 and hole 12 on the ball golf course kind of surround it, and they are up at the top of the hill, and so the whole course plays down this gradual hill, and this hill has probably had tons of fertilizer washed down off the ball golf course, and it just made this freaky piece of property. There are pine cones out here about the size of my head, which is pretty crazy. You don't see those anywhere else in Georgia. And all the pine trees grew branches extra low to the ground and extra thick. So all the little shoal patches are thicker than anywhere I've ever seen. And this is after, you know, the last 6 years of it getting a little beat down with traffic, although it doesn't get too much traffic. I believe the Macon crowd prefers to play over at Claystone Park. It's a little easier on the body. No cacti either. Hole 8 here is a really tough par 3. There's a couple lines off the tee, which is nice, but there's this OB road to the left of the basket. So like if Seth were to putt it 25 feet past the basket, he'd be out of bounds. He'd be flirting at 20 feet. In fact, he looked a little worried when he let that one go, but it should be just fine. So Matlack's going to get the very rare birdie here on hole number 8, and that is mighty impressive because it is a tough one to get. There's no safe play if you're trying to get the 2, as Josh Childs could show you right there, because he went for it. He felt like it was out of bounds, but it stuck right there for the easy birdie. So we moved to hole 9, the last hole in our course. It is over 800 feet, almost 900, uphill, par 5. There are 2 Mandos on the right side of the fairway. The first Mando is probably only 100 feet off the tee. You can see it right there to the right of your screen. And the second Mando is probably 480, 500 feet away, something like that. And basically these Mandos are trying to keep you from just playing hyzers onto the ball golf course. So if you watched rounds 1 and 2, that fairway over to our right here is the fairway that used, I believe it was holes 4, 5, and 6, or 5, 6, and 7 on the Beast Temp course. We had those 2 par 5s going down the hill. But today the ball golf course is back open to ball golfers. So when you're playing this hole and there are ball golfers out, you definitely have to pay attention. Those right-handed ball golfers hit it with a little slice, and you got big white egg coming right at your head here on hole 9's fairway. So Seth hit that early tree off the tee. Didn't get anywhere, but not a big deal when you can throw it 500 feet on your second shot. And he really didn't even look like he tried to throw it hard. But he should have a really easy birdie after covering all that distance on shot number 2. Nick will not have such an easy birdie after that bad forehand turned into a cut roller. He will have some kind of angle to probably try and get back to the pin, but it will be a scramble if he wants to get this birdie.
Great shot.
Matlack has thrown 2 perfect shots here, so that will probably get him a very short chip shot to get up and down for birdie. He might even try to run in an eagle. We'll see how close he is. Wow, Nick throws an excellent shot there. He gets it all the way back over there near the pin. He's just a little left, maybe in the wood line. We'll have a chance for birdie, though. Speaking of chances for birdie, Josh threw a pretty good drive from his 3rd shot after hitting that tree. There's a little short clip of one of the ball golfers over here on our fairway. Well, Matlack did too much on his first 2 shots, and he did a little too much on his 3rd shot too. If you're going to throw it that far past, might as well give it a chance to go in there, Matlack. And Seth's going to have a nice long bid at his eagle. Should put him in good position for a nice and easy birdie. You definitely want to pick up the 4 on this hole if you're playing in the open division. Not many guys are going to get a 5. Not many guys are going to get a 3 also. But Nick will scramble around and save his birdie after that crazy cut roller onto the ball golf fairway. Matlack will hit a nice comebacker there to shoot 4 under on the front 9. Get his birdie. Seth will also tap in for birdie after the big second shot. And he will shoot a 3 under on the front 9 here. He's at 20 under par total. After hanging around in 2nd place for a minute, Seth will move back to 3rd. He's 1 behind Nick and 5 behind Josh Childs, who will tap in for par and shoot a 4 under on the front. He's at 25 under total. Has that 4-stroke lead on Nick Rowton. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks to all of our sponsors, and thanks to Will Peterson for filming. Please check back for the final 9 video from the Return of the Beast B-Tier at Bowden Golf Course.